Guy, how you doing?
Good afternoon, Rich. I'm very well. How are you?
Very well, thanks, mate. Happy Friday.
Oh, thank goodness it's Friday, eh?
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the 18th episode of the Six Sessions. Today's guest is someone with more revenue and growth insight than most. He's someone that knows what it takes to build a big picture revenue machine, but also appreciates the incremental gains to get you there. Each week on the Six Sessions, I get to chat to somebody doing something amazing in the growth space, be that marketing, sales, or CX. The theory being that it makes me smarter by association. Today's guest will do just that. No pressure, Guy. These sessions are supposed to be short and sweet, and they're definitely unfiltered, which makes it fun on a Friday afternoon. And we've not had anybody say anything career-ending yet, so it should be fine. Today's guest is someone who comes from a sales background, someone who knows his way around a pitch and how to close a deal, but he now leads a tech company with over 1,000 customers, helping people understand and improve their revenue flow. He's also someone who has well over $100 billion of deal insight, and he's blazing a trail in the RevOps space. So it's safe to assume he knows what he's talking about when it comes to growth. This week, it's my pleasure to introduce Guy Rubin of Ebsta fame. Guy, welcome.
Thank you very much. Yes, what a great introduction. And yeah, I'll pay you later.
Yeah. So to begin with, how's 2021 started out for you guys? It feels like we're riding through the year at a rate of knots already.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I can't believe we're in the middle of May already. It's going so fast. I think we had a really interesting year last year. Obviously, everyone was kind of went through this transition to work from home. As you can see, I'm still stuck in my backroom office. But yeah, it was a really fascinating time to see the world kind of go through that change and come out the other end. And very quickly, people realized that they needed to become a lot more data driven in the way that they run their sales operations. And that's led through to 2021. So we're having record quarter after record quarter. We are taking on larger and larger customers now and really focusing on helping them to build these revenue engines, which is kind of what everyone's trying to do and move away from this kind of narrative gut feel way of running their sales ops.
Do you reckon you've tipped into that tech company hypergrowth phase yet? Would you say you're in hypergrowth mode?
I think I had this conversation the other day. I think it's something you kind of look back on and go, that's when it happened. So we just don't get time to kind of lift our heads up. But I think what the big thing that's kind of that we've seen is that there's first of all, we fixed the hole in the bucket about a year ago. With the latest developments on our platform, it's just insanely sticky, and then we made it very easy for new customers to come on board. So our competitors offer very big implementations and long kind of processes to get customers up and running, and there's a lot of kind of change management. And our approach is you can literally sign up to Ebsta on a Monday morning and by Monday afternoon have a more accurate forecast. So we've really reduced that time to value, which makes it a lot easier for customers to kind of trial what we do, and that's just allowed us to kind of to ramp up the numbers. And as you know, Richard, we've been working together quite closely on our latest launch, which is for HubSpot CRM customers now. So as of about 4 weeks ago, HubSpot CRM customers can now also use Ebsta.
And I can definitely attest, this is going to sound like a massive sales pitch, but it's not intended. But so obviously we've been helping on the beta side, and I can attest that actually within 30 minutes of clicking the button, connect to my HubSpot portal, I was already having a conversation with our head of sales saying, why have you not engaged with these 29 deals in the last month? So it's definitely a powerful piece of kit. So what exactly does Ebsta do?
Ebsta are on a mission to score the world's business relationships. So in a sentence, I suppose, we help companies by scoring the engagement they have with every relationship and every account they've ever spoken to. So when we onboard a customer, we go through all the last 12 months worth of email traffic, calendar events, call records if they've got them. And try and understand every relationship a company has, and we give every individual relationship a score out of 100. And it's not just the score itself, it's how it's trending over time that really gives you the insights. We then use that engagement score to benchmark live pipeline against previously closed won and lost deals. So you can understand where the gap to good is on your live pipeline, which relationships still need attention within the pipe. And customer success are using it as well to understand which accounts are getting enough attention and which ones perhaps, while we might be getting some engagement, we may not be getting the engagement we need with the right stakeholders. So it's really about that X-ray vision into what relationships your company has on the basis that relationships drive revenue.
And tracking like relationships and like sales engagement is such a divergent from most of the metrics that most sales team would track. How did you guys get to that point? How did Ebsta become a thing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of technologies out there at the moment offering some level of forecasting tools out there, but they're all stage based, right? And actually, what's become clear in today's world is that sales processes aren't linear anymore. So when we look at it, actually, what we believe is that the main driver to get a deal over the line is what level of engagement you're achieving with the right stakeholders, because the principles are that people wouldn't be spending time with your team if they're not interested in what you're doing. So rather than having this kind of linear stage-based approach to forecasting, actually understanding how much engagement you're having with each relevant stakeholder and then benchmarking that against what you need to get that type of deal done in the past will give you a good indicator as to how close it is to closing. And that's our USP. That's our approach.
So, but how did the company become an entity? Like, what's the backstory? What's your superhero origin story?
Good question. So we've always been passionate about sales data, hence the name Ebsta. It's the ebb and flow of sales data. That's kind of where we came from. So the theory here is that we've always been passionate about doing this stuff, and really just saw that forecasting was broken, and the way sales teams were working was all very gut feel. There was a lot of narrative involved in the way that sales teams were operating, and we wanted that to become a lot more data driven. So my business partner and I, Zach, and I have been working together now for over 20 years. He's the brains behind the outfit. He's very technical and has built the platform that we run, and I'm responsible on the commercial side. And we just had the same passion for that whole time. We wanted to initially fix CRM, and then it was about fixing sales teams and forecasting and helping them to really build those revenue engines that we're now talking about.
Did you, like, as most tech companies do, and actually most businesses do, there is an idea and then there is a definitive pivot before you find your real groove? Have you gone through that pivot process? Or
yeah, so when we started, not everyone knows this, but when we started, we had a vision of where we wanted to go, but we started out with some really kind of simple sales enablement tools, kind of plugins for your inbox, and we didn't realize how lucky we were, but within about 6 months, we became the most popular app on the Salesforce App Exchange, and we stayed as the number one app for 2.5 years running. Now, it was a freemium model, so we weren't charging a lot of our customers. A lot of them were getting it for free, but we had over 50,000 companies, not users, companies actually use and trial the product. So we ended up in a world of really kind of supporting this tool that was really just a stepping stone onto where we were going. And in fact, it ended up becoming, I wouldn't say a distraction, but we certainly had to pivot away from it to really get back onto the focus of the data and move into the forecasting and what we call account-based selling strategy stuff that really is where our passion is.
So what's your role at Ebsta? So Zach is the brains. What's your role at Ebsta? You can't just say beauty, because that would be too easy. What's your role at Ebsta, and what's your day-to-day look like?
It's funny. This question came up in a slightly different way a little bit earlier, and I suppose a lot of my job is just getting out of people's way. I really like the kind of the Steve Jobs quote of hire good people and then let them get on with the job, right? So I think I've got my superpower is finding good people and motivating them to work towards a common goal. So unlike our competitors, Ebsta is bootstrapped, and we've got less than 50 people across the whole business at this stage, and pretty much all of the team now have a stake in the company, and we're blessed with an incredible team of people, and in fact, all of them have got their area of expertise, and they're all more senior than I am in their area of focus. So really, that's probably my superpower, is just finding the right people and getting out their way.
Would you say as a business you're mission driven?
I think so. We focus on one North Star metric for ourselves, which is how many relationships have we scored this month, or are we trending upwards? So and as you can imagine, as we take on more and more customers, we're scoring relationships across more and more businesses, and we've got a line in the sand we're aiming for, to have more relationships under management than LinkedIn. That's our aim, and we're doing something similar with the amount of pipeline under management and analysed. Really understanding, we're getting some really interesting insights as to different types of vertical markets and how much engagement is required with which stakeholders and how long certain companies take to buy. All of these kind of really interesting metrics that we kind of keep focus on. But as a business, we perhaps in a slightly different way, we don't necessarily focus the team just on revenue, but actually how many relationships are we scoring? And as long as that number is trending upwards, then by definition we're making more money.
So you don't have to tell me where you're tracking against them, but I'm always interested to, so we're talking about metrics, and I'm always interested to understand where different CEOs, like which metrics you value. So if you had like every morning a scorecard that you could look at, what would be the metrics that you focus on when you're running the business?
Again, the number of relationships we've scored, the amount of pipeline we're managing or we're supporting and analysing are key metrics for us, because we've got a bigger picture vision of what we're trying to achieve here, and trying to get this idea of scoring the world's business relationships means that there's lots of different ways of doing that. Obviously, the first one is by providing services that people pay for, but we're always thinking about different ways we can encourage people to allow us access so that we can score their relationships and help them to run faster. And we fundamentally believe that relationships drive revenue. And so if you know who your target audience is and you know your target persona, all that really matters is, are you having more and more conversations with that target persona at your target audience? And revenue is almost an output. It of course it needs to be measured, but it's really an after effect.
But it's a lagging indicator, isn't it? It's not going to tell you where the business is heading. It's where it is.
Yeah, and if you want to get 10,000 companies engaged with you over the next say 12 months, well, that's 200 a week. So how are you going to make sure that you've got that level of engagement with 200 companies every single week? And what if you've only done 190 this week? Next week you need to do 210. And how are you going to keep on top of that? And what does the leaderboard look like? How can you see which of the sales team are really just a natural at doing this stuff? And perhaps there are other sales team members that are really good at relationship management, but they're much more comfortable with existing relationships rather than net new. So getting that level of X-ray vision into the relationships that are being built by your team members allows you to really manage them a lot better and get more results out of them.
So you're a not traditional salesman. That sounds like a horrible thing. So you are somebody who's worked in sales for quite a long time. And are you seeing a change in what makes a good salesperson, like that stereotypical salesperson? Do you think that's changed now that you're focusing on things like engagement?
It's funny, when I started in business, you look at things like marketing teams. Marketing was a creative art, right? It was a black art that I really didn't understand, but there were some very creative people in marketing. Now today, the vast majority of marketing are analysts. Yeah. And they've really transformed the industry, and it's so much more efficient now because everything's A/B tested and everything's based on the numbers. And we're starting to see the same in sales. Inevitably, we find in general commercial people don't necessarily like change. I don't think any of us do. But what's fascinating with salespeople is how quickly they adapt to change once they can see that it can generate them more revenue. And actually, if anything, I think salespeople are actually are quite happy to adapt quicker than most if they can see that it can lead to better results. So they're also quite vocal if they don't like what they see, but sometimes you have to kind of work your way through that, and at the other end of it, you can see huge change and an industry or a platform or a market that changes much quicker than others.
So both you and Ebsta are so you personally and Ebsta are making waves in the RevOps space. What is RevOps, and why should anybody care about it?
It sounds bigger than it is, I suppose. I mean, I suppose it's big and scary if you've not come across it before, but the reality is that the customer doesn't care whether they're being looked after by marketing, sales, or customer success. That what they care about is the experience they have with your brand, with your company. And historically, marketing have used their own data, their own processes, their own tools. Sales have done the same, as of customer success. And the problem there is that the customer gets a different experience as they work through that kind of life cycle, that journey. What we need is one set of data, one process, one workflow for everyone to work through, and a consistent set of tools. And ultimately, we want everyone singing the same song. And really, RevOps is in charge of the orchestra of the commercial team, if that makes sense. So they are responsible for delivering the right tools across the board and making sure that everyone is singing from the same hymn sheet, or is in charge of the orchestra that's playing the same song. So really, it's just about bringing together marketing ops, sales ops, success ops, and bringing it under one roof, and allowing them to have a seat at the table. For far too long, in my opinion, you've got salespeople that get promoted to management or leadership roles, which is absolutely the right thing to do. But then they're given responsibilities for tools and process and data, when in fact that really isn't their area of expertise. And it needs to be separated out and given to leaders that actually understand this stuff, so that they can work in tandem as a unit and run faster.
So to paraphrase slightly, it's about alignment and kind of visibility about what's going on as well. So like the alignment of the teams, alignment of the technology, alignment of the processes, but also about having the visibility to then be able to make smart decisions. So like we're talking about data-driven, having those metrics to be able to make decent decisions off the back of it. Absolutely.
You can't measure what you can't see, and if you're not measuring it, then you can't affect it. So, and the other great thing for a lot of the finance directors out there is that this shouldn't cost more money, right? This isn't about spending more. This is just being about being a whole lot more efficient with what you've already got, because actually there's a lot of inefficiencies getting the wrong people. We talk about square pegs in round holes, we've seen it before, certainly in a startup environment. You find good people, you get them on the bus, and then it turns out they're in the wrong seat. And really what we've got to do is just get the right people doing the right jobs, getting the stuff that they're really good at. And if you've got talented salespeople, let them sell. And if you've got talented analysts, well, let them process the data and present back the results. And really, if the messaging people are in marketing, well, let them take that message out to all of the organization and allow everybody to sing the same song.
So where does Ebsta fit into that RevOps process?
Well, I suppose in a sentence, all our focus is delivering you that North Star metric, understanding the strength of every relationship. So we give every single relationship a score out of 100, and it's that single score that trends up and down that gives you an indicator as to whether that relationship needs more attention or not. So we help to influence things like account-based selling strategies. We also give sales leaders X-ray vision into the pipeline, so we can give them visibility of what deals need attention and which ones don't. And of course, our USP is our relationship approach to forecasting. So rather than stage-based forecasting, this is more engagement-based forecasting.
Nice. So what excites you most about marketing and growth right now?
Look, I think, again, we're seeing this huge transition to becoming a lot more data-driven within these sales functions, and the efficiencies that you can generate by taking away the half a day of admin for the sales reps to define what their message is going to be, their narrative to their sales manager when they go through their pipeline review meetings. The requirement for the sales leaders to spend all this time analyzing deals that are actually in good shape. You can leave them alone, right? They're making the progress they need to. The sales leaders are waking up to these data-driven decisions that they can make, and they're able to build. They're moving away from the kind of happenstance. So I met this guy at the pub and he likes our product and we're going to do a deal, to we're going to build a revenue engine and we're going to target 10,000 companies. And by the end of the year, none of them are not going to have heard of us. And we're going to sell to 30% of them, and this is how we're going to do it. And we're going to measure every single day how much engagement we're achieving and how much momentum we have with those particular accounts. So it's all about this thing that marketing picked up on 5 or 10 years ago. Sales is waking up to now, and about becoming a lot more data driven. And frankly, I think this North Star kind of relationship metric is a great way, a very simple way for the sales guys, the managers, and the C-levels to really get the visibility they need.
So how are you as Ebsta planning on growing in 2021?
So we've already doubled in size in the last 12 months. We're growing all over the business, but making mistakes as we go. Right, we tried outsourcing both on the kind of SDR front as well as on the for the development team. It didn't work for us. We brought it all back in-house. So as I say, everyone in the business has a stake. Everyone's bought into what we're doing. Everyone's on the same journey. Everyone's trying to work towards the same goal. And we plan to double again in the next 12 months as well. So anyone who wants to help us change the world, get in touch.
Big top line question on a Friday afternoon. What's next in growth? Where should people be focusing their efforts? I have a feeling I know where this is going.
Well, I think again, just data driven, just everything needs to be a lot more data driven now. That's how you scale. And that would be my passing comment is, it doesn't matter whether it's Ebsta or anything else, just become a lot more data driven and focus on building a scalable, replicatable revenue engine, and you can't fail.
So my biggest takeaway from this, that what's next question, that focus on the relationship, I think is something that is new and unique to a lot of businesses. I don't think a lot of businesses are focusing on that as a metric part. Well, focusing on any metrics past MQL, SQL opportunity. I think these are the things that people just traditionally look at. And that relationship piece, I think there's something inherently human around that, which I think has a lot of power, particularly given kind of the past 12, 18 months that everybody's gone through. I think that's a powerful metric to be focusing on as well.
Look, we all know that relationships drive revenue, and the more conversations you have with the right personas at the target audience that you're as long as your product's fit for purpose, the revenue will come. And honest, and it's really simple. I mean, again, I can't stress this enough. It doesn't have to be particularly complicated. If you're currently having 10 conversations a week or a day, if you can make that 12 or 14, you're going to make more money. It really, as long as it's with the right people, the money will come. So speak to more people, have more conversations, be more human. Exactly as you say, Richard.
Guy, it's always fascinating speaking with you. It's a pleasure because it's been twice in 7 days now. So I'm glad we're gonna have to do it every week now. Thanks for joining me on the 6 sessions. If anybody wants to follow up with you or wants to find out more about Ebsta, how do you want people to connect with you?
I accept pretty much every LinkedIn invite as long as it's genuine. So get in touch via LinkedIn is probably the easiest one. My email address is on the website, guyrubin@ebsta.com. But yeah, welcome good conversations. Really enjoy talking to sales leaders and people that are looking to build and scale revenue engines. So get in touch and look forward to catching up with people.
Any parting wisdom to share with everybody on a Friday?
Go and enjoy your weekend. We're about to get out of lockdown, so just enjoy the sun now it's here, and have a great weekend, everyone.
Guy, thank you very much. Have a good weekend.
Cheers, Rich. Take care.